How's it going, everybody? This is Dailies to Downloads, and just like Punxsutawney Phil, whether or not he sees his shadow, Erik has shaved,
I
so
did.
that is a sign that the pandemic is nearing its end.
And once I heard that the vaccine had reached American shores, uh,
You were like, it's time.
I got a text from the state government that the first person had been injected, and I said, okay.
You have that Pfizer faith.
Yes, yes. I rang the bell, and everybody came out clapping.
Well, that's good. So yes, this is the same co-host that
Yes,
I've had since the beginning.
But the hair on my head, I'm still letting that go for a little bit.
There you go. Hey,
I'm not sure what will be my next goal. That I have to see happen in the world. Maybe when movies theaters come back, or
what would you do? Give yourself a mohawk or shave your head, or
I'll do something visible.
All right. Well,
I'm not gonna get out like a tattoo or something. I'm just saying, like,
you don't want to get a pandemic tattoo?
That'd be too much.
That might be over the line. Yeah, that's
especially that's something you definitely don't want to remember.
Right, like you don't want to get that Christmas ornament tattoo of like 2020 with the toilet paper roll like on your arm.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Somebody has a skull and you're like, hey, but look at mine.
I mean, I'm just hoping that Betty White makes it to 2021.
But
she'll turn 119. No, I don't know. But
you know what? All joking aside, if Betty White passed away like in early 2021, people would forget about the pandemic and they'd be like, 2021 is the worst year ever.
How much? Not to be too fatalistic, but
not to be morbid.
Not to be morbid, but that is going to happen.
At some point. Well, the only people that live forever, it's Keith Richards, I would say. But
Keith Richards and Clint Eastwood, apparently. I feel like Clint Eastwood's about 196 as well. So.
But we love Betty White, so we hope that she stays healthy.
I'm actually. Aren't you a little surprised? Sorry to go on a tangent. Aren't you a little surprised that Clint Eastwood didn't make a movie during the lockdown? I feel like we would have still gotten some surprise announcement like we do every year.
I mean, not getting into politics, knowing his politics.
Yeah, he probably,
it does, now that you mention it, I am surprised if anybody was going to be like, I don't care about the restrictions, I'm going to film it anyway, it would be him.
Yeah.
But,
I'm sure he's raring to go on something.
You would think.
If it has been made. So, yeah.
We'll have to see what happens. But our main topic is not people who are going to die in 2021, but our main topic is holiday movie traditions. We're going to share some of ours, and you can tell us what some of yours are. So I will start, and we'll kind of start not from the very beginning. I don't know what I watched when I was really, really little, but certainly when I was young, I don't want to say there was a movie that we watched every year at my house. Like, there were always holiday movies on. You could always count on A Christmas Story being on. And now I don't know if when I was young, if they started that whole 24-hour thing back then, but it was always on Christmas Day at some point. And, so I was obviously very familiar with A Christmas Story. Do you watch that one every year, or is that just one like me that you'll be at somebody's house and it'll be on?
Yeah, funny enough, that's something I feel like I discovered later in life.
Right.
Well, later in my growing up, not my life expectancy is 36, I think. No, I think I watched that probably when I was like late teens. And I think for me as a child, maybe if I saw some clips, I just assumed subconsciously that it was like a film from the 1950s. And so that, I don't know, for whatever reason, that just disinterested me as a child.
Right.
And so I didn't come to that till a little bit later, after I knew about how much of a following and the lamps, the leg lampshade, all those things I'd already kind of known about, the tongue getting stuck on the pole by the time I finally got to it.
Like, you probably saw it in clips, like I did. I can't, it wasn't until, like you said, later that I actually watched it from start to finish.
Yeah.
And that would be the same could be said for It's a Wonderful Life, which if I was ranking holiday movies, that would certainly be near the top. I don't watch it every year, but it really is a great movie. And the first time I was familiar with It's a Wonderful Life was probably because there was a clip of it in Field of Dreams.
Oh yeah,
And where he comments about how the character is crazy or very, very sick, I think the line is. But anyway,
yeah.
so I didn't watch that from start to finish until much later, and I ended up reviewing it for the site that Eric and I wrote for at 1.411. They had the regular version and the colorized version, which is colorization is probably a whole nother topic we could get to at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously those are like the two of the staples that are on TV every year. But I would get a movie for Christmas. It wouldn't be a holiday one. So one of my traditions would be to whatever gift I got that was a movie, I would pop that in the VCR and I would watch that with like snacks or something on Christmas Day. That was always something I looked forward to doing.
Yeah, that's actually kind of more, in line with like what I guess my quote unquote tradition would be. Also because for me, like I guess we usually would visit like grandparents or something like that. So we didn't actually like have a tradition. No, there really were no traditions necessarily on the day on Christmas Day itself or anything like that. But yeah, I guess when I would open presents, I would usually get tapes, VHS tapes, and then I would start watching it, but like by myself. Like I would either go into some other room or
Right.
whatever was going on. We'd have dinner, Christmas dinner, I guess, and then
Right.
but I specifically remember the Tim Burton Batman, and on Christmas Day I got it, and the tape got stuck in the VCR. And like it unspooled
right.
and then my dad had he had to like take the VCR apart a little bit
Oh,
to
wow.
get it. But by that point the tape was
So your dad took the VCR apart. My dad would have just
yeah.
been like, "Oh, I'll fix it."
They started banging it.
Yeah.
It's just like if you ripped it out, the tape would break. I mean,
Right.
I think to this day I still don't own Tim Burton's Batman. After that,
Funny enough, Batman Returns is probably more of the Christmas movie in that
oh
franchise.
yeah, absolutely,
But yeah.
yeah.
On the topic of VCRs, we had a VCR where my dad you actually had to stick a matchbox, like a little matchbox, underneath the tape to get it to play correctly without any snow on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, those are the days, VHS. But yeah, no, so we have similar traditions in that way. So, but as I got older and I met my wife, or the woman that would become my wife, she did have traditions. Like she had pretty religious movie traditions, not religious in the theological sense.
They went to the manger, bowed down.
She watched The Passion of the Christ every year.
Every Christmas.
No, but like she would have traditions. And so based on that, like I've kind of developed traditions, because of her. And like one of the movies that she would watch with her family every year, and honestly, I had not seen it in full until I met her, was National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which might sound crazy. I didn't grow up in a house where those movies were played a lot. I had seen them on TV from time to time, but they weren't like staples in my house. Like my family especially my father was much more into John Candy. So, around the holiday season, Thanksgiving and Christmas, you would have Planes, Trains, and Automobiles played a lot. But yeah, so they watched that one a lot. And so now we have a house of our own, we kind of have our own traditions. And one of those traditions is that we watch a new Christmas movie every year, or one that we haven't seen every year. And we select a different one each time. Some of them are not good. Christmas the Cranks or like stupid stuff like that.
Four Christmases or four.
Yeah. I think we saw that one in theaters actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's one of our cool traditions that I like, because there's so many Christmas movies out there that you probably haven't heard of, and so that's one thing that we like to do. But how about you? Is there what Christmas movies do you like to watch?
Well, I was thinking, and actually I do like Christmas Vacation. And I find that John Candy is in the first Vacation movie.
Yeah,
that's the part, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I also didn't really grow up because I think the first two are like rated R. So and then they toned down to get like PG-13 by the time they got to the Christmas one. So I didn't really grow up with those either. But I do remember the Christmas one for its opening animation, I posted something on Instagram a few months back, and about opening title sequences in movies that use animation, and I think
Yeah.
you mentioned to me Christmas Vacation, and I recalled that.
City Slickers had a good one too.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not
yeah,
a Christmas movie, but yeah, that they had a really long animated opening title sequence.
yeah, definitely, yeah. Um, but yeah, I do remember that one, especially because he goes to buy lingerie for his wife, and there's like that really attractive supermodel, and I don't remember where that goes, but it doesn't really go anywhere, I guess. But yeah, I guess the youngest for me, like memories that I have watching Christmas movies, again, maybe not on Christmas Day exactly, but in that general December vicinity, were things like Home Alone. I guess there's a lot of John Hughes, adjacent kind of movies.
Right.
I mean, Home Alone is, yeah, I mean, it is takes place around Christmas. That's why they're traveling. Um, and everything else that transpires isn't very Christmassy, I guess. But the old next door neighbor goes to church, I guess.
No, that's one in our house as well. So like when we're mailing out our Christmas cards, my wife and I, like, it's usually her, but we'll have that playing in the background. So Home Alone, has kind of become one of the Christmas movie traditions in this house. And
Yeah.
now that the kids really like it, and they really like Home Alone 2 as well, which is also set around Christmas. And they think of that one as just really, really funny, when in reality it's very outlandish when you watch it as an adult.
He's like he's a child murderer. He's
Yeah.
like a child psychopath.
Like
He's the good son earlier before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. The
Yeah.
things he does to those guys in number 2 are just insane. They really, really are.
Yeah, in a weird way, watching it. Well, I haven't seen them in a very long time, but maybe once in a while I'll see a clip, and it's funny as an adult because it's like, oh, he would have murdered them. You would die every single trap that takes place in this movie,
Yeah.
and he's like, it's kind of like I think someone made a YouTube mashup video of like Home Alone is actually the origin story of Jigsaw, the Saw. Because
That's
of he's
funny.
elaborately setting all these things up, and he's leading them on, and they come in, and he's not technically responsible, but he is kind of.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's also funny, like that 1-2 punch of like in 1990, September of 1990, you had Goodfellas, and like 2 months later, Home Alone came out, so you had Joe Pesci and these like, Joe Pesci doesn't change. I mean, he's still kind of his Goodfellas character in Home Alone as well. When you think about it, right. I'm sure the outtakes were all like 4-letter words and whatever else that they had to cut out.
Well, my wife, growing up, she just told me this the other day. She thought Joe Pesci was like a comic actor because that's what she knew him as.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Home Alone is kind of what kicked that off. And he started doing and Lethal Weapon.
That's right. Yeah.
And then
My Cousin Vinny and stuff like that.
Cousin Vinny, and Gone Fishing, and
that one was bad.
He's a landlord. There's some really bad ones. But yeah, that was one that I remember growing up with. And then there were, I guess, I don't know if this was part of your childhood, but like every year there would be like a new on television, a different Muppets Christmas related thing. Not just the Muppets Christmas Carol, which is probably the most well-known movie. Right. But there was like, I think it was on like ABC, right? Because Disney's like owns ABC and stuff. And they would always have like an hour-long Muppets involved Christmas special, I guess you would call it.
Okay.
And it was obviously done like on a soundstage, and it would be like all the Muppets are getting together for Christmas, but like, I don't know, Kermit's stuck in the snow trying to get there, and blah blah blah. And they would have like sometimes some guest stars, I guess, like as a continuation of the Muppet Show.
Right.
Like real life, like whomever. So I feel like that was also I remember distinctly.
I don't remember those. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, there were a few, I guess, back in the late '80s, early '90s. I remember there's something like a snowman who they let in because he wants to cool off, but then he evaporates because he's made of snow. And I was like, oh, this is perverse. But then they put him outside and he gains his whole body back somehow. I don't know.
Well, you know what? It's funny. You mentioned the snowman. You just brought back a memory to me that's probably the earliest one as far as Christmas traditions go. At some point, I would say at least once every year. I don't know if it would be on Christmas or around, the Rankin Bass animation
Yeah,
movies
yeah,
would always be on. Now that I'm thinking about it, so whereas the one we talked about where we would like open a gift and watch it that day, those short movies would be on, Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph.
yeah.
Those two mainly. There are others, obviously. I didn't watch the others nearly as much, if at all. But the Frosty and the Rudolph one, those would always be on at some point. Those were go-to child Christmas flicks.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like those were a tradition. Like I feel like those are probably from like our parents' era originally,
Yeah.
right? And they've been re-airing and same with like the Charlie Brown.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Charlie Brown, insert whichever holiday you want special,
Right.
But um,
The Rankin
uh,
Bass movies are popular on some of the digital groups I'm on Facebook. Like those still sell pretty well. So
yeah, it has such a distinct style to the
yeah,
things. I think that stands out. But yeah, yeah, Muppets Christmas Carol, the
that's a good one.
Michael Caine, movie. I feel like, again, I haven't seen it in quite some time, but I feel like it still uh, holds up.
That was
As
my introduction to that story.
really well.
Yeah, it was.
I'm sure for most people that are watching it for the first time are of a young enough age, and it's done in such a way where it's Gonzo and was it Rizzo the rat or Video who are kind of like narrating on the outside, but then it is the traditional three ghosts, et cetera. Kermit's uh, I don't remember the name. He's got Bob Cratchit. He's got the son with the Tiny Tim with the I don't know.
Like you watch some when I watched some of the older versions after that, I was like, "Where's Gonzo?"
Yes,
Like with Albert Finney or whoever. Like, where's Kermit?
yeah,
Like, isn't that what Charles Dickens wrote about? The Muppets? Come on
yeah.
now.
And I gotta say, like, I will for that adaptation, they play it pretty straight. Like they don't like
Yeah,
break the fourth wall like we saw last time, and like say, "Oh, this is Kermit," whatever. Like, yes, it's almost like the Muppets putting on a play,
yeah,
and they don't
true.
break character. I mean, it's funny and goofy, but they're playing it pretty straight. Fozzie's in it, and they're playing it pretty straight. And then by the time the Ghosts of Christmas Future comes, it's pretty dark. It's really dark.
Yeah.
Um, and there's this whole song, actually, that is now going to be added. Uh, there was a song where Michael Caine, the Scrooge, wanted to get married, but he always kept putting it off until he had a career.
Mm.
And then his girlfriend finally says, like, it's time to move on, and like she ends the relationship, and she sings this whole song, whatever, and it played in theaters, but then Jeffrey Katzenberg cut it
Oh, really?
because he felt like the kids were getting too antsy and this was boring. That choice is up there with Quibi for Jeffrey Katzenberg's worst decisions.
I'm gonna have to
And
look that up. I did not know that.
yeah. And so finally, they just announced like last week, Brian Henson was trying to get it back. They
Mm.
had it in a vault, and they're gonna put a new version with that back in on Disney Plus.
Oh wow,
I
that's
guess
cool.
sometime next year. But yeah, I guess those were the big cinematic holiday memories. And then as I got older, then there's a slew of horror Christmas movies.
I
But
was
that,
gonna get to that. I figured
yeah,
you being a horror guy,
yeah, but
Black Christmas.
not a part of my youth though. Not that was I wasn't like watching like say like The Thing. Not a Christmas movie, but it's a very cold, chilly movie. As a kid, or Black Christmas. Like I wasn't.
Yeah.
That
You
didn't.
didn't watch that one as a youngster?
No. And is that also Bob Clark? He did Christmas Story and
Oh yeah,
Black Christmas, right? So he was very very diverse.
this is our salute to him. It's
Yeah. But there's the horror genre has a ton.
I would figure you might be like a Gremlins guy. Do you watch that one a lot, or is it just
Gremlins, I mean, as a child, yeah. I mean, as a child, I loved it, and that also kind of has like that It's a Wonderful Life, small town.
yeah?
The little local bank and the one little one screen movie theater and everything.
And it is a Christmas movie, but I never, not until I got older, did I really associate it as such. Like it just struck me as
yeah.
a
Well,
movie. Just
I guess not to get, I don't know if this is off topic or not, but I guess in the sense that we were kind of talking about off air too, of the whole, what do you classify as that meaning? Like, what is a Christmas movie?
right.
I guess like if you kind of as like the setting is taking place around Christmas, over the Christmas time. Like, yeah, Gremlins is, and I think someone even gets killed via Christmas tree lights, or maybe not,
Yeah.
right? Something like that. But yeah, Gremlins, I liked a lot. I didn't even think of the Christmas angle there.
Right. Well, on that topic, the Linoleum Knife podcast that I used to listen to a lot, Alonzo Duralde wrote a book all about Christmas movies, and when he talks about it, regardless if it takes place during Christmas or the plot revolves around the holiday, it's a Christmas movie no matter what.
Yeah.
And it's not really. We were talking off air, like it's not really a thing that I think about a lot. As far as Die Hard goes, I don't know. I really don't care at this point. Like you watch Die Hard, you like it, regardless of the holiday. But
that is the whether or not it factors into the plot much. Like also another one I was thinking of was which actually is when I was looking this up again, does revolve so much around Christmas. Fanny and Alexander, the Bergman movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of a Christmas movie. And then like I Googled it before we started, and it was like, yeah, the first half is the nativity thing. I'm like, oh,
it's true. Yeah.
The whole thing really is. The Christmas, specific Christmas elements notwithstanding. I mean, it is a nativity kind of based around the holiday.
Yeah, true. And there's also A Christmas Tale that's on Criterion as well.
Yeah,
going back to our topic from last week.
I'm trying to think of like a real, because you would also think the holidays are specifically a time. Well, I don't know. Maybe you don't think this, but like where there's gonna be a lot of tension.
Sure. Can be.
That. And I'm trying to think of like, what was that? Jodie Foster, Home for the Holidays. She directed.
Well, there's one movie I can think of right away, Family Stone. Where it's all about that, like family tension around the holidays. I feel like for a while there, those movies would come out like one every year. It would all be about the same type of thing. Either couples arguing or families arguing.
Yeah,
they kind of all run together, really.
That was I think that was. Sometimes I can think of a few Thanksgiving movies actually where that tension kind of comes out more than Christmas. I don't know. Maybe by Christmas they get over it. They're all psyched for New Year's. Remember like 10 years ago where we had all those giant ensemble comedies like New Year's Eve.
Oh, yeah.
Valentine's Day.
Gary Marshall, I feel like he would direct a different one, every couple years.
Yeah, that was such a weird moment in time. There's like 3 or 4 of those. I never saw any of them, but yeah.
I've seen. I did see Valentine's Day. None of them were good. It doesn't matter. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Like, are you a big Hallmark movie fan, Eric? Do you watch a lot of those?
No, but it's funny. I was talking to someone the other day who has a friend who recently directed one of those.
Oh wow.
I think it's a Hallmark channel. I don't know anything about these things, but
oh come on, come clean now. I'm sure you do.
But he actually he and his wife had written it. They live in L.A. and the whole production was during quarantine. I mean, during lockdown, not quarantine. Right. They didn't break any rules. They shot it in Salt Lake City, where I guess they have some more lax. But you have COVID protocols now on film sets, and it was shot in like 10 days. I think these Hallmark Channel movies are like cranked out. I
mean, I think it's all basically the same thing. I haven't watched any of them. I don't really have any interest, but I know a lot of people who, that's one of their guilty pleasures. That they
it's like a whole market, a whole industry.
Yeah. I mean, to each his own. I can't claim superiority as far as guilty pleasure. One movie that I watch at least once a year is The Family Man. And
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Brett Ratner fan, but I do like that movie. And obviously, when it came out, and even probably now, a lot of people dismiss it because of its similarities to It's a Wonderful Life. But I really love Nicolas Cage in it, and I think that it has a lot of good things to say about family and the holidays, and your choices in life. And Téa Leoni and he have really good chemistry in it. So that's one that I personally will watch at least once a year, most of the time anyway. And
I mean, you mentioned Brett Ratner. Now that my mind just goes to, because of course there are several different holidays depending on your religious, if you have a religious religion, during this time period as well. So I'm thinking of like Hanukkah movies, and Brett Ratner's Jewish. That's where my mind was. I didn't explain that. No. I didn't mean to see like I just went off on a random tangent. But yeah, I feel like that's something that also, I feel like we've gotten some more Hanukkah-based movies, more so than as I was a kid.
I know where you're going to go with this.
Yeah, it's a prompt. It's a prompt, but I mean, there is the most famous one. I mean, which is probably this one, is it not? Just by sheer.
Well, probably, yeah. My wife and I, one of our first dates was going to see 8 Crazy Nights, the Adam Sandler movie, which I don't know if I really like it overall, but
I feel like that was one of the most like mainstream.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, depending on what you think about Adam Sandler and stuff, but I mean, like that was one of the most mainstream Hanukkah movies.
It wasn't terrible. I think it just got a little bit annoying after a while, if I remember correctly. But I can't think of, off the top of my head, I can't think of a ton more that revolve around that specific.
Not revolving. Yeah. Right. Maybe it's just like in the background of a.
Right. So then maybe we could start the debate. What is a Hanukkah movie and what's not?
What is? And does it have to take place over like all the 8 nights?
Each day, yeah.
Each day.
If it's just one day, then it doesn't count.
Okay. I like that. It has to always follow the Gregorian.
We're throwing the gauntlet down right now.
Yes. We need to see 8 consecutive days in the film in which it's established by an opening shot of the menorah in each sequence that we know. That would be the right checklist.
Hold on, I'm going to send a letter to Adam Sandler right now.
Right now, please.
Letting him know. Another one that I don't watch it every year, but again, we introduced it to my kids this year, and that is the Santa Claus movies.
Yeah,
now, I really like the first one. The second one has its moments too. The third one is just utter dog crap. It really is with Martin Short. I don't know have you seen all of them?
No, I saw the first one. I saw it in theaters. I specifically remember this because I don't know, like my folks were always like, my folks are the kind of people that don't like celebrating something too early. Like
I was going to ask that to start the show. When do you consider Christmas season starting? And I forgot to do it.
I guess I think like the fact that you even say Christmas season would probably like annoy my folks. I guess like I guess like it's like the day after Halloween, and all of a sudden all the So our household, like sometimes we had a fake tree, sometimes they just like forgot, and so we didn't, so we didn't. I don't know.
My wife would kill me.
Yeah. We had like the little chocolate calendar thing sometimes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we have those for the kids. Advent calendars. Yeah.
But yeah, my parents were always like, not. But I remember for the Santa Claus, I really really wanted to see the movie. That was like the movie of that season.
Right.
I think it came out like the first week of November, and I remember I must have been like, I don't know, 7 or 8, and like my parents were like, why would we take you to this in the first week of November? I don't know, they were having like some kind of logical argument with me about this, and I was like 7 or 8. I'm like, look, it's the home improvement guy. All right, I gotta see this motion picture so I'm not laughed at by the other kids in the class.
Yeah, you don't want to get ridiculed.
Yeah,
like, Eric didn't see the Santa Claus. What?
I know. And they're gonna say, you're gonna tell your kids it's only November 7th, all right? So you're not gonna see the Santa Claus.
You were that killjoy in class that was like, Christmas hasn't officially started.
Well,
yet.
No, but I guess it has always kind of stayed with me. I mean, they did take me. I had to go.
That's good.
They didn't like punish me for jumping ahead in the calendar.
Yeah.
Daring to.
You can only see it on this date.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. They're like, it must be past WWE Survivor Series It needs to be before New Year. No,
That was their barometer, the Survivor Series.
that was it. That was it. So they did take me. So I did see the first one. I think that was it. I don't think I ever saw. By the time the second one came out, I feel like there was a big gap between the first one.
We were just talking about that. I feel like it was like 6 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Between, because the little boy in the first one is, clearly a teenager by the time the second one comes out. But yeah, the first one I really like, and as you were saying, Tim Allen was very big then. That was like right in the middle of the home improvement fame. And it was funny enough, another thing that we watch every year, there's an episode of Home Improvement, I think it's called 'Twas the Blight Before Christmas, that we really love a lot. It's probably my favorite Christmas episode of any show ever. We usually watch that one, but I've always been a big Tim Allen fan. And, the first Santa Claus movie is very good. The second one is okay. And the third one, it's like an hour and a half long, and the dialogue and the plot are just really not good at all. But
the second one,
that's your assignment, Eric. You have to go watch the second.
I completely forgot. The second one's like he has to find there's the Mrs. Claus. Get it?
That's the number 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then number 3, as I'm sure people will recall, is Jack Frost tries to take over Christmas.
Is that bad? Oh, he's a villain now? I thought Jack Frost is good. He's a bad guy? Okay.
He's a villain. You're not talking about the Michael Keaton movie, Jack Frost, right?
Well, what's the snowman, the killer snowman movie?
Oh gosh.
Isn't that
this is a movie show, and we can't think of it. I think it is. It might be called Jack Frost as well.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not a movie worth. You can watch.
I remember it being a fun B movie, to be honest.
Yeah, it's called Jack Frost. Yeah, 1997. If you can watch like a 5-minute video on YouTube of all the kills, and that's it. You don't need to see anything more than that. You want to see a guy die by carrot? Check it out. But yeah, you mentioned TV. Like for me, I think that was something that, due to reruns all the time around the season, that is something I would watch more, because every December, if you were watching, back for me, it was the Family Matters and Full House, that era.
Right.
We're gonna put the Christmas ones on around that time.
Right.
And I guess there was a Full House one I remember early in the series where they were trying to go to some family for Christmas, and they left, I think, on like Christmas Eve. And they had to make they were taking a flight, and then they have to make a connecting flight. But before they can make the connecting flight, they get snowed in the airport.
Is this Full House you're talking about?
Full House, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, now we're not going to be able to celebrate Christmas. We're snowed in at the airport. This is terrible. And the whole message is that, like, as long as you have your family with you, you can make Christmas anywhere. Sure, I still wouldn't want to have it in an airport next to a fucking drunk airport bar guy. But
if that were your family and your parents would be like, we are not celebrating Christmas in an airport.
Like, Eric, this is not Christmas. This is LaGuardia. Okay, this is not a time to be celebrating on the JetBlue runway. And then like there's a whole thing about the adults. They're like, oh no, our presents, the luggage is still in the plane. But then it comes out on the conveyor belt, and then they're like, wait, is Santa real? Like,
I feel like every one of those sitcoms had a moment like that at some point. You know, like a present would appear and be like, who gave it? Oh, I don't know. I didn't give it. Not mine.
Yeah, exactly. Even they don't. Even the adults don't know. And the other later, for some reason, Full House one I remember is John Stamos takes the Olsen twin, one of the Olsen twins. They playing Michelle, whatever, to get a last minute Christmas gift for, I think, her dad. And they go to this Christmas gag shop.
Oh, yeah.
And you know that because as soon as he comes out, you have the fake canned applause that goes on and on. So that tells 6-year-old me that this old man is famous. And unfortunately, Mickey Rooney doesn't really have a family anymore because he got into a fight with his kids years ago, and it didn't end well. And so
sounds like they ripped that off of the South Bend Shovel Slayer and Home Alone.
Kind of. I mean, there are millions of stories like that, right? I mean, that's also, I feel like, one of the main Christmas themes as reconnecting with family, right? Yeah. Putting issues behind you because it's Christmas. They never tell you what happens on December 26th.
Right?
You still have to.
We were just joking about that with Home Alone 2, like the pigeon lady, which recently came back into fame for being compared to Piers Morgan. But
yeah, Brenda Fricker. Yeah.
So at the end of that, Kevin gives her one of the turtle doves, and we were joking like, this family is rich and could do pretty much anything they wanted. They could help her out a lot. But no, here's an ornament for a tree you don't have.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm gonna head out, but here you go. I'm probably never gonna come back to New York, but enjoy this little ornament, and it'll be great.
Yeah, and she's probably still homeless. She's in Central Park. She froze to death the next year.
Kevin's dad could easily hook her up with a job or something.
Yeah, he flies her back to Chicago, and
there'll be pigeons in Chicago.
Nothing. I mean, he could have had her go to the plaza. Have a week. Maybe give her a week of luxury,
or just a night. Here, do you want to sleep in a warm bed for one night?
Yeah,
but no,
he already has the room, or he did have he rented the room out.
Yeah, we can't afford it. Kevin spent too much money on room service. That's
credit card. You got it. That's Talk Boy. Yeah, it's so Mickey Rooney. Anyway, he lays out this whole story about missing his family. They invite him to come spend Christmas dinner with the Tanner family, and it's so sweet. And then they say Mickey Rooney like, "Hey, we got a gift for you as well." He's like, "What is it?" They hand him a phone. He's like, "Oh, you got me a phone?" He's like, "Nah, man, call your son." And it's like, oh, he calls his son, and it's not his son that picks up, it's his grandchildren that pick up. Oh, he's a granddad. And it's meant to be so sweet, and you never see him again, so he probably died. We don't know what happened to him after.
Hey, tear-jerking moments.
Yeah, never saw him again.
I do remember that episode, though. Yeah. You're right. Those are the two Christmas episodes from that show that I recall.
Yeah. And just one of the Tales from the Crypt had a good one. Both the 1970s movie and the TV show called All Through the House, which was about a wife who on Christmas kills her husband for some insurance money or the will or whatever.
Oh, and
she's gonna hide it or act like it was an accident. But it's also the same night that a serial killer is broken out of the local asylum, of course, and he likes to dress up as Santa Claus because why not? And so he happens to also be in town, and then he breaks into the house while she's trying to clean up the body of her dead husband. And Robert Zemeckis directed the TV episode of that. That one I remember as well, just for being goofy. But.
I remember that absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I mean in this house, I don't want to hear Christmas music or think about putting up decorations until Thanksgiving at least is over. Got to give the holidays due.
How quickly do you take them down? After New Year's?
Honestly, it just depends on how quickly she wants me to take them down.
Okay.
If she starts talking about it right away, for me, this year, it was probably the first year I did everything in one day, just to get it done because it was actually pretty nice, the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let's just get it all done. So we put the tree up. I put all the decorations up outside. And so this year it'll depend on probably the weekend after the holidays is usually when we try to do it. We try to find a free weekend where we're not doing anything. But.
Yeah, that always was my favorite week of the year because we'd go off from school between Christmas and New Year's. For whatever reason, I feel like that was always a fun time. I know a lot of people do exchanges.
There you go.
I don't know. And obviously movies, maybe not Christmas movies, but it's also the biggest movie going week of the year.
True.
Usually.
Well, won't be this year. Yeah.
Not this year. But that's another thing. I knew a lot of people who had a Christmas tradition of going to the movies.
Absolutely. Sure. We would always go to see something. It wouldn't necessarily be a Christmas movie, but whatever big movie was playing.
Yeah. And my dad will always ask us to put on you have the Yule log, the fireplace, the fake fireplace on the TV.
So funny enough, my wife Stephanie put that on this year. This past weekend, I think she put it on, and I was like, "Oh no!" Because I had discovered something else. I had discovered an Ozzy Osbourne Yule log. It was the same fireplace, but there was an Ozzy thing going back and forth on chains, and it would play his music. And I was like, "This will be our tradition from now on. We got to have the Ozzy Yule log." So I'll post a picture of that here.
I like it. Back when my dad was growing up, in New York, I think it was Channel 11. For 24 hours, we just have the Yule log. and that's how we had our fireplaces. I mean, you could still be freezing. The heat might have been turned off by the landlord, but
You're all like this, but
yeah, as long as you looked at that, you were like, "Woo!" You felt so warm and cool. It was amazing. That was it.
you were like, the pigeon lady has it better than us. Come on now.
Yeah,
Put
but
the heat on.
do we live in Queens? We can't get out to the Central Park and rescue the pigeon lady? Like, no, son, sorry. Take her to a shelter? Nothing? It's ridiculous.
Your dad was like, she doesn't celebrate Christmas.
Nah. She celebrates it in November. We don't associate with that guy.
Oh my. All right. Well, we're sorry that we didn't talk about some of the other holiday classics like Holiday Inn or Santa's Sleigh, or we didn't mention Krampus.
I never saw Krampus. People love Krampus. I haven't seen it actually.
It's not bad. It's okay. It is what it is. There, it has some funny moments in it. It's worth a watch. Nothing more though, I would say. But
The Shining. I mean, it's snowy.
If we get into winter season movies, I guess it would be a whole different.
Yeah. Does that count? Is that a part of the book? If there's snow, it's Christmas.
I hope. I hope not.
If there's a blizzard, it's automatically Christmas. You just gotta go with it.
Snow equals Christmas.
Oh, no matter what.
So that'll be our next episode. We'll debate The Shining, and whether it should be included in Christmas movies.
I think it's definitely a Father's Day movie.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, if you guys have any picks you want us, you think we should have mentioned, please let us know in the comments. And make sure to check out my other show, The Nitty Gritty. And for Erik, thank you for joining us. Have a good holiday.